My business partner secretly set me up to take the blame. The last-minute detail I caught saved me. I was already seated when the compliance officers walked into the conference room. The glass walls made everything feel exposed, like there was nowhere to hide. One of them placed a thick folder on the table and said my name in a flat voice. Inside were printed emails, approval records, and transaction logs. Every page pointed to me. Fraud, misuse of funds, breach of trust. My hands shook as I flipped through the papers. I knew I had not done any of it, yet the evidence looked solid. Across the table sat my business partner, Evan Cross. He did not speak. He did not defend me. He stared at the table like this had nothing to do with him. That silence hurt more than the accusations. Board members entered, their faces cold and distant. The vote came fast. I was suspended immediately. Security was called. As I stood up, my vision blurred, but one page caught my eye. The timestamp looked wrong. There was an extra colon in the time format. It was small, almost invisible, but it felt wrong. I had worked with these systems for years. That format was not standard. No one else noticed. Evan finally looked at me, calm and steady. As I was escorted out of the building I helped create, I felt shock, betrayal, and fear crash over me all at once. By the time I reached my car, my phone would not stop buzzing. News alerts appeared before I could even unlock the screen. My name was already out there. Headlines called me dishonest and reckless. Investors sent short messages asking what happened. Friends asked if the rumors were true. I had no answers yet. Within hours, Evan released a public statement. He said he was shocked and deeply disappointed. He said he hoped the investigation would reveal the truth. His words sounded caring, but something felt off. He spoke like someone watching a fire from far away, not someone standing inside it with me. That night, I sat alone in my apartment. I tried to log into my laptop out of habit, then remembered my access was gone. I felt erased, like I never mattered. I replayed the meeting over and over. The silence, the speed, Evan's calm face. That strange timestamp would not leave my mind. The extra colon bothered me more than anything else. Systems did not change without reason. Formats did not shift by accident. I barely slept. Instead, I stared at the ceiling and made a quiet promise to myself. I would not accept blame for something I did not do. If someone framed me, I would find out how. The next morning, a message came from a number I did not recognize. It was from Maya, a former intern on our tech team. She asked if we could meet and said it was important. We met at a small cafe far from the office. She looked nervous, checking the door often. She told me she still had screenshots from old system logs she saved for training. One of them showed the transaction format before a recent update. She slid her phone across the table. The timestamps were clean. No extra colon. My heart started racing. Maya explained that Evan had pushed a rushed system update a week before my suspension. He said it was for security reasons. Only his team handled it. After the update, the timestamp format changed slightly. She thought it was strange, but did not question it. Seeing the difference made my stomach tighten. The format changed after Evan touched the system. That could not be a coincidence. Maya said she felt sick seeing my name blamed everywhere. She was scared, but wanted to help. I thanked her and told her to stay careful. As she left, the truth hit me hard. This was not a mistake. This was planned. Someone changed the system to make it look like I did something terrible, and that someone was very close to me. I decided to confront Evan, not to accuse him, but to watch him. We met in his office. He offered me water and spoke softly, like I was fragile. He said these situations happened sometimes. He said it might be best if I stepped back and rested. I asked about the system update. He smiled and said it was routine, necessary. When I pressed him, his tone changed slightly. He said I was stressed and reading too much into things. As I stood to leave, his phone rang. He turned away, thinking I was gone. I paused when I heard him say, "Don't worry, they won't trace it back." My chest tightened. He noticed me standing there and quickly ended the call. He laughed and said it was unrelated. Outside, the air felt heavy. Evan was not surprised by what happened to me. He was prepared. That meant he believed what he did could not be tracked. People who believe that always miss something. I did not know what yet, but I knew it existed. And I knew I had to find it before he erased it. I contacted an old friend who worked as a forensic accountant. She agreed to look into the case quietly. What she found made my hands shake. The money tied to the fake approvals went through a vendor Evan had insisted we use. The payments were split into small pieces and moved through shell accounts. My name appeared as the final approver. Then she checked the dates. One of the biggest approvals happened while I was on a flight. I pulled up my boarding pass, seat number, and airport timestamps. I could prove I was not even online. That meant someone used my credentials remotely. I remembered Evan pushing hard for shared admin access months earlier. At the time, it sounded efficient. Now, it sounded dangerous. Trust had blinded me. The more we uncovered, the clearer it became. Evan did not just let me take the blame. He built the trap carefully and stepped back while I fell into it. This was not about a mistake. It was about control, and I was done being the one trapped. We spread the documents across my kitchen table late into the night. Transaction logs, payment trails, login records. The pattern was clear, even if the company refused to see it yet. My credentials were used while I was in the air. Someone had logged in remotely with admin access. Someone I trusted. The company's legal response was short and cold. Shared admin access meant shared responsibility. That rule protected them, not me. Evan had helped write that policy. At the time, I thought it showed teamwork. Now, I saw it for what it was, a shield. I replayed every conversation where Evan pushed for faster access, fewer checks, more control. I remembered how confident he sounded, how convincing. Trust had been my blind spot. Still, systems always left trails. Even the best plans had cracks. I focused on the night of the system update. Evan insisted it happen before my flight. He said delays would cost us. Now I knew the truth. He needed me unavailable. I checked the update logs again. One admin login during that window, Evan's encrypted laptop. The location was hidden, but something felt wrong. Masking hid addresses, not behavior. I called a tech expert I trusted and asked one question. What do hidden logins still reveal? Patterns, he said. They always leave patterns. Maya contacted me again 2 days later. Her voice sounded tense. She said she had been ordered to delete old server backups after the update. All of them, no reason given. That scared her. She admitted she did not delete one backup. She kept it, thinking it might matter later. That backup became everything. It showed the system exactly as it was before Evan's update. We compared the backup to the current system. The differences were small but important. The timestamp format changed. The approval entries that did not match real-time behavior, they were added later, not logged naturally. My hands trembled as we worked. Every file felt dangerous. If Evan found out, he would destroy it all. When we finished, I leaned back and stared at the ceiling. This was proof the system had been altered. But proof of alteration was not enough. We still needed proof that Evan did it himself. Without that, he could claim ignorance or blame someone else. I felt both hope and fear rising together. The trap was visible now. I just had to prove who built it. Evan did not wait for us to move. He filed a civil lawsuit against me, accusing me of damaging the company before my suspension. My bank accounts were frozen. My lawyer warned me to stay quiet. Friends stopped calling. Some sent messages asking if the rumors were true. I did not reply. I had learned silence could be safer than defense. The pressure felt heavy, like I was being crushed slowly. Evan was tightening control, forcing me to react. That told me something important. He was afraid. People who are confident do not rush. I decided to let him think I was breaking. I canceled meetings. I ignored emails. I played the role he expected. Behind the scenes, we focused on the masked login. The behavior pattern pointed to a private network in Harbor Point, a coastal area where Evan owned a condo. He told the board he was overseas that night. That lie mattered. It cracked his story. I gathered proof quietly: travel records, network behavior, timing matches. The walls were closing in, even if Evan did not see it yet. We laid everything out side by side: old logs, new logs, payment trails, flight records. The story told itself. Fraud approvals only appeared after the update. The update came from Evan's laptop. The login happened while I was on a plane. It was clear to us, but courts wanted certainty. Evan's lawyers would attack every gap. That was when I remembered something small. Evan loved custom scripts. He bragged about them. Custom meant unique. Unique meant traceable. We searched the system deeply. Hidden notes, formatting habits, anything. Hours passed. Then we found it. A small script comment with Evan's style. He always added an extra colon in timestamps. He once joked it made things easier to read. That habit appeared in the altered logs. My breath caught. The extra colon was not random. It was his fingerprint. He framed me using his own habit. We did not rush to expose him. Instead, my lawyer filed a narrow motion focused only on system integrity. No accusations, just questions. The court ordered Evan to submit original system images under oath. He delayed, claiming technical issues. The judge denied the delay. At the next hearing, I watched Evan closely. His hands moved too much. His voice cracked once. The calm mask was slipping. Then Maya called me, shaking. Someone had offered her money to leave town and stay quiet. She recorded the call. When she sent it to me, my chest tightened. This was no longer just fraud. It was bribery. We handed the recording to my lawyer. The case shifted fast. Evan had crossed another line, one he could not erase. For the first time since everything began, I felt steady. The truth was no longer fragile. It was solid, and it was coming for him. The hearing date arrived faster than I expected. The courtroom felt colder than it should have, like the air itself was tense. Screens lit up with system logs enlarged for everyone to see. Experts explained the changes in simple words. They pointed out how the timestamps shifted only after the update. They showed how entries appeared that could not exist in real time. Evan's lawyer objected again and again, but the facts stayed in place. When the extra colon was mentioned, my stomach tightened. That tiny detail now sat in front of everyone. Then the judge asked a final question. Why did the timestamp format change at all? I stood up. My voice shook at first, but I kept going. I explained Evan's habit of writing custom scripts. I explained how he liked adding extra colons and small markers. I said no one else used that style. The room went silent. Evan stared down at the table. For the first time, he looked small. The judge nodded slowly. The court ordered the case referred for criminal investigation. Evan's calm image shattered in that moment. I felt no joy, only a deep release, like a tight knot finally loosening. The next day, Evan resigned. The company issued a quiet correction, pulling back its earlier statements about me. No apology, just facts. Still, it mattered. Returning to the office felt unreal. Some people avoided my eyes. Others apologized softly. I accepted it all without anger. I understood fear now. I knew how easily it spread. I focused on rebuilding. Admin access was restricted. Oversight was added. No more rushed updates. No more silent approvals. I promoted Maya. She earned it by speaking up when it mattered most. The board offered me Evan's equity, full control. I surprised them by refusing it. Power concentrated in one place had nearly destroyed everything. I chose balance instead. That night, I slept deeply for the first time in weeks. The weight on my chest was lighter. Not gone, but manageable. The truth had survived pressure. So had I. Even with my name cleared, the damage did not disappear. Some clients returned slowly. Others never came back. I did not blame them. Trust, once broken, takes time. Investigators contacted me again. Evan was claiming I knew more than I admitted. He was trying to pull me down with him. The fear returned fast, sharp, and cold. I gathered everything again. Emails, meeting notes, timelines. I checked each detail twice. I refused to leave room for doubt. Late one night, I realized something important. Evan was not just protecting himself. He was trying to control the story until the end. That meant he still believed he could bend it. I would not let him. Truth does not need force. It needs consistency, and I had that. Investigators asked me to explain how Evan and I built the company. I spoke slowly. I told them about trust, shared goals, and how responsibilities shifted over time. I pointed to the moment Evan pushed for shared admin access. I explained how it sounded efficient, how I agreed without question. They listened carefully. When I showed them the backup logs Maya saved, I saw their expressions change. The timeline locked into place. The update night, my flight. Evan's masked login. Evan tried blaming an outside contractor. The contractor denied it and showed proof. Evan's story cracked again. Each lie made the truth stronger. I felt steady now. No panic, no rush, just clarity. Maya came to my office one afternoon, pale and nervous. She said Evan's former assistant had contacted her. The assistant claimed Evan rehearsed, blaming me, months before the update even happened. That detail hit hard. This was planned long before the system changed, long before my flight, long before the meeting. The assistant agreed to speak to investigators. Her statement matched everything. Evan had tested ideas, asking how fraud investigations worked and how blame could shift. That night, I finally allowed myself to feel angry. Not loud anger, deep anger. The kind that burns slow and steady. I did not want revenge. I wanted accountability, and it was finally within reach. The news broke quietly at first. Evan had been formally charged. No loud headlines, just short reports buried under bigger stories. Still, people noticed. Messages came in from old contacts who had gone silent. Some apologized. Some asked questions. I answered only a few. The investigation moved slowly, but steadily. Every piece of evidence was reviewed again. The script fingerprint, the altered logs, the bribery attempt. Evan's defense grew weaker with each review. His stories changed. His confidence faded. During one hearing, I saw him glance at me, then look away. I felt no victory in that moment, only distance. He was no longer part of my life. At work, things improved. Safeguards held. Employees spoke up more. Mistakes were caught early. Trust rebuilt in careful steps. Maya grew into her role quickly. She asked hard questions. I encouraged that. One afternoon, she thanked me for listening to her when others might not have. I told her the truth. She saved herself by trusting her instincts. I just gave her space. That night, I realized something important. The company was stronger now, not because of control, but because of honesty. The trial reached its final stage months later. By then, the facts were clear. Evan's defense leaned on confusion and doubt, but the evidence stayed solid. When the final system expert testified, the room felt tight and quiet. The expert explained how the injected logs could only be created by someone with deep access and technical skill, someone who understood the system fully. Evan fit that description perfectly. I watched the jury as the explanation sank in. Faces changed. Eyes focused. Understanding spread. Closing statements ended without drama. No speeches, no emotion, Just facts, laid out clean and simple. Days later, the verdict came back. Evan was found responsible for fraud and obstruction. Sentencing would come later, but the decision itself felt final. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked how I felt. I said I felt grateful for the truth. That was all. I went home and sat alone in silence. No relief rush came, just calm. The long fight was finally over. Life did not return to normal right away. Normal had changed. I trusted differently now. I asked more questions. I checked details others skipped. I reviewed systems often. I encouraged open disagreement. Silence no longer felt safe. People noticed the change and followed it. Meetings became honest. Problems surfaced early. One evening, while cleaning my desk, I found the printed page from the board meeting, the one with the extra colon. I stared at it for a long time. That tiny mark almost destroyed me. It also saved me. I folded the paper and placed it back in the drawer. Some reminders should stay quiet. They work better that way. As months passed, the company grew again. Slower, but stronger. We chose stability over speed. Trust over shortcuts. I did not forget what happened. I simply stopped living inside it. Months later, I was invited to speak at a small business event. I almost said no. Standing in front of people still felt risky. In the end, I agreed. I told the story plainly. No drama, no blame. I spoke about systems, trust, and paying attention to small details. I said problems often hide in places people rush past. The room stayed quiet as I spoke. Afterward, several people thanked me. One said my story helped them question something they had ignored for years. That mattered more than applause. Driving home, I felt lighter, not healed completely, but steadier. Growth rarely feels exciting. It feels firm, like standing on ground that does not move. On the anniversary of my suspension, I took the day off. I walked along the coast near Harbor Point, far from Evan's old condo. The water was calm. I thought about fear, how it once controlled every thought. Now, it didn't. I had learned to pause, to observe, to verify. That habit changed everything. I watched the waves roll in and felt thankful, not for the injustice, but for the strength it forced me to build. Some lessons arrive gently, others arrive like storms. This one reshaped me, and I was ready for what came next. After everything settled, the company reached a quiet milestone. No banners, no speeches, just steady growth and calm meetings where people spoke honestly. I watched my team work and felt proud in a way I never had before. We were no longer rushing or trying to impress anyone. We were building something solid, something that could last. Trust returned slowly, through actions instead of promises. People double-checked work without being asked. They questioned decisions, even mine, and I welcomed it. When mistakes happened, they were shared early, not hidden. That change mattered more than profits. It meant the culture had shifted. One afternoon, I stayed late and walked through the office alone. The lights were dim, desks were quiet. I remembered the day security walked me out and how small I felt. Standing there now, I felt steady instead. The shadow Evan left behind was finally fading. I understood something then. Success was not about avoiding failure. It was about surviving it without losing honesty. I turned off the lights and went home, not afraid of tomorrow. Late one night, I received a message from someone starting their first business. They said they were excited, but scared. They asked how to know who to trust. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. I told them trust was important, but it had to be earned and checked. I told them to slow down when others rushed, to ask questions when things felt unclear. I said the smallest details often matter the most when pressure is high. They thanked me and said they would remember that. I closed my laptop and sat quietly. I never planned to become someone who gave advice like this. Life had pushed me into it. Pain had taught me lessons no book ever could. I did not want others to learn the hard way if they did not have to. If my story helped even one person stay alert, then it mattered. That night, I slept deeply, without fear chasing my thoughts for the first time in a long while. As years passed, the courtroom memories faded. I no longer replayed testimony or hearings in my head. When I thought about Evan, it felt distant, like remembering a storm after the sky has cleared. The company continued to grow, steady and strong. New leaders rose, teams changed, systems stayed transparent. I stayed involved, but I no longer felt the need to control everything. Control had once nearly destroyed me. People sometimes asked how I stayed calm after everything I went through. I told them the truth. Calm came from knowing the truth could stand on its own. I did not need to defend it anymore. I learned that integrity is not loud. It does not demand attention. It shows up quietly every day, especially when no one is watching. That lesson stayed with me longer than any victory ever could. Once in a while, someone would recognize my name and ask about the scandal. They expected drama or anger. I kept my answers simple. I was blamed. I paid attention. I proved the truth. That was enough. I did not feel the need to explain every detail or relive the pain. The story belonged to the past. What mattered was what came after. I focused on building, mentoring, and staying aware. I trusted my instincts more now. When something felt off, I paused instead of pushing forward. I never ignored small details again. Life felt steady, honest, real, not perfect, but grounded. And that was more than I ever expected after everything that happened. Looking back, everything changed because of one small thing. An extra colon in a timestamp, a detail easy to miss, easy to ignore. I noticed it because I cared enough to look closely, even when I was scared and overwhelmed. That choice saved my name, my work, and my future. I lost trust, but I gained wisdom. I lost comfort, but I gained clarity. I learned that truth leaves patterns behind, and lies always rush. My business partner tried to make me the fall guy. He almost succeeded. But the truth left a trail, and I followed it step by step until it led me back to myself. The end.